Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to take this time out and thank all my new subscribers. I have had a ton of new subscribers. And I would also like to take the time to thank everyone who's been watching my videos, whether you've been a subscriber for a long time or you're brand new or you don't even subscribe. Thank you. So here is my old rag jacket, and here is my front of the jacket, and I purposely wanted to show off the fabric because once it ragged, you really couldn't tell what it was. And I think on this next one, if you see, all I did was took a strip and turned that under and then just encased my sweatshirt, and my sweatshirt ends about right there, so it's about 1/4 of an inch, which this would allow for you to button. But on this new jacket, I don't think I'm going to do that. Okay. I don't think I want to detract from the front on how this looks. So I think I'm going to make a facing where I will sew it to the front and then turn it to the back and then iron it on and maybe tack it every so often. I think that's what I'm going to do. And that way, sometimes these will blow open and people are not going to see the stitching that I've done because I opted to go with this thread that matched the outside, not the inside. I think that's how I'm going to do this. However, if you want to do yours like this, where you can put buttons, let's see. Let me measure this. I'm going to assume that I used, let me see if I can measure my seam allowance. So it's 1/2 inch seam allowance, which would make this 1.5, and that. So this might be as wide as 2.5, but it may be 2 1/4. You could just cut, and it doesn't matter if you cut this with the grain or against the grain. You could cut this about 2.5 inches and then just press in 1/4 inch on each side and then fold it around your sweatshirt edge and then just sew it. And it looks like I sewed down the front first. No, it looks like I sewed on the inside of the jacket first, and then I come around and I folded this over and then sewed it again down the front. That's how you would complete the jacket binding if you were to do it like this. But I think today I'm going to show how to make a facing. So let me make a pattern and get back to you. Okay, the part that I did not like about my other jacket was the square-ended part of this. I didn't like that. And so perhaps this time I'm going to round this edge. So I'm going to take my friction pin and I'm going to kind of mark on some interfacing. And I'm going to cut this the length. This edge will be straight. And I'm probably going to make this about that wide. So it's about 3 inches wide. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch this. My bumps are face up. So I'll do one for this side. And then I'll do a mirror image for one for this side. And I'm showing this side only. You could come out and do a square edge, but it's going to look funny because you are encapsulating about 1/4 of an inch in this, and it will be like that, and it'll be real funny whenever this comes up. So I'm trying to do this as a gradual thing. And I'm just going to cut a strip of this off my bolt of my interfacing, and I'm going to try this, and then I'm going to also cut another piece that matches this in this fabric, and I'm going to kind of line the very beginning or front of the jacket. Okay, so here I have my 2 mirror images of my interfacing, and keep in mind that this is going to be for the right side of the jacket and this is going to be for the left. I want the sticky part to adhere to the jacket on the inside, so I'm going to cut a long strip of this fabric, and I'm going to stitch this down to it so that when I go to turn all of this in after I stitch it to this, it's going to finish all my edges, plus it'll finish the inside of it right here, and then I will go ahead and I will iron it, and it's going to stay. Interfacing's pretty good about that. And then I might actually just kind of tack it down. So let me get those pieces prepared so you can understand. Okay, so the first step is to sew your 2 strips of interfacing to your facing of the jacket. So both will be right side out. And I've just stitched basically a tube, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a pinking shear, and I'm going to trim this edge, the unsewn edge. I'm going to trim that so that it's not going to fray and I don't have to turn it under. An option for this, if you don't want to pink the edge, you can also serge or do an overcast stitch to where this won't unravel inside your jacket, and then it shed on whatever clothing you're wearing. My pinking shears are dull because they were free. It's got a dull spot about right in the middle. The next step, I'm putting a cutting mat underneath this, and it's best to work with the strips fringe. And I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to put it about right there, and I'm going to pin, and I'm going to pin this all the way down. And I'm going to match my sweatshirt edge. And I'm going to pin this all the way down, and then I'm going to sew right here. From here, I'm going to scallop this in and then come down and sew all the way down. And it looks like I'm going to barely catch this, and I'm slowly going to come in and take that awkward corner off, but I am not going to trim any of this until after I get it turned right side out and I make sure that I like it. Okay, I have this sewn all the way down. I have left this little spot here because I think I will, I'm not sure, maybe I'll box this off. Let me box this off. Okay, I have boxed this off, so I'm going to proceed to turn it right side out. And mind you, I also did a back stitch anywhere that I started and stopped sewing. Okay, I like the gradual neck transformation. So I'm going to go ahead and get this pinned out, and then I'm going to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch from my edge, or maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'll see whenever I get to that point. And I'm going to do that all the way down the jacket. And yes, you will be encapsulating your strips, but it'll be fine. All right, I have one side of the jacket done. And yes, you are going to sew over your fringe, and some of it's going to stick out, and that's perfectly fine. This is a rag jacket, and this is what the inside looks like. I am now going to go ahead and take this to the iron and fuse the interfacing to the inside of the jacket. And I probably will tack this somewhere up here to keep that from flipping over, and I'm probably going to trim this and pink the edge. So I have ironed the facing inside, and then I've come back and I have ironed all of the strips flat. And now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to stitch this down. And I'm going to have to feed this side through the throat of my machine. I do not want to sew against my strips. I want to sew with my strips. This is the hard side. Okay, so I have the front facing done. My sides are not perfectly equal. I tried it on, it's fine. The stitching does not show. I may go back and stitch another one just to get it closer to the edge so that this does not flip around, but I don't think it's going to. And now I will wash the jacket and we will see how it does. And so I started out with a brand new spool of refilm thread, and I have worked it down. It's I didn't do any zigzag specialty stitches. If I would have, this would have been completely gone.